We're banana free, and you know what? I just realized as we were looking up the rules of the internet that I just lost the game.
Yeah, I know. Rule 1 and 2.
No, you know. Oh, come on, Tom. You know the game.
What game?
Oh, you're one of those people. I see how it is. All right. Enjoy the show. Peace.
Oh, no, Darren! No, come back!
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, because you're not supposed to talk about it. See, I'm like so dumb. I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Wow.
I'm old.
Right after video, too. Screwed it up. Screwed it up big time, Len. What are we going to do?
I don't know, but I have to get schooled on these internet rules, man, because I'm dumb. I thought I knew the internet. I was on the internet. I've been on the internet. I've actually seen the internet once in a while, but I don't know the rules.
It's going to be a really
never
lonely
caught the
show
rules.
without Darren.
It's going to be weird.
I'll just have to rely on you for policy expertise.
What's going to happen? How are we going to do this?
I'm sorry, Darren. Come back.
He has 2 minutes to come back.
He probably just had to go to the bathroom.
Bananas will do that.
Will they now?
That's what I hear.
You don't eat bananas yourself? Oh, Darren came back. Thank goodness.
Yay!
I'm
I
sorry.
remembered what I said about the road, so I'm gonna get on the Tom Highway.
Oh.
We can still be friends. We can agree to disagree, Tom.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you keep playing that game.
Remember, the higher the road, farther you fall.
Just for that, I'm making my window 4x3, Tom. That's right. I'm gonna the rest of the show 4x3.
What is this? 1999?
Duh, Prince, man. What are you doing? Sorry. The 1999 thing. Sorry, I haven't had any time to...
I didn't even think about that.
I didn't have any time to mourn Prince. I had no time.
All right. We are ready for the show.
All right, let me get on the irks. So, yes, let's start it.
Here we go.
This is your captain speaking. I'd like to take a moment to remind you that this show is brought to you by listeners like you who give value for value. To show your support, go to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. We know you have a choice when it comes to getting your tech news, and on behalf of the crew, I thank you for choosing the Daily Tech News Show.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, April 29th, 2016. Happy birthday to my sister. I'm Tom Merritt. I'm not my sister. But joining me is someone else who is also not my sister, Darren Kitchen from hack5.org. How are you doing?
I am in the Not Tom Sister Club.
Yeah.
As well as many other people in this planet.
Welcome.
On this fantastic Earth.
That is why I did not give you a lovely new pair of Ugg boots for your birthday.
Oh, appreciate it. You know who else isn't Tom's sister?
Len Peralta.
I am not Tom's sister either. That's correct.
No. Also, it's a big club. I'm going to say. It involves pretty much everyone on the planet but one.
I have been looking at possibly becoming your sister, but it's not gone very far.
You know, Meg might have something to say about that.
Oh, he has a sister.
Maybe she can be turned.
Twin sister.
All right, we're going to talk about Rule 34. Rule 41, and also not of the internet. Rule 41 about letting law enforcement access remote servers.
I'd only prepared information about Desu.
Desu.
Yeah. It'll be a good discussion regardless.
Well, we'll brush up real fast because we got some time after we talk about the headlines. Twitter user, how would you say this? Hoxod? It's H0X0D.
Yeah,
Hoxod discovered that flow.microsoft.com had gone live. Microsoft then pulled it down, then put it right back up because I guess they wanted to announce it today anyway. It provides a preview that connects 35 cloud services together similar to IFT. Flow is the name of the service. Twitter, Slack, Google Drive, Dropbox, Office 365, of course, are among the services you can use with Flow. You can also connect to SMS and email. Flow will integrate with Microsoft Power Apps, which went into public preview as well. Power Apps lets users in an organization deploy an app without having to write code. So similar, again, to how IFT works, where you just connect things together. In a related note, Google enabled IFT support on its on-hub router Friday. So it's just a big day for people plugging things into other things.
I love it. Do you remember Yahoo Pipes?
Yes, I do.
So happy because I feel like, yes, the dream of the web is still alive through open APIs. I just kind of wish that more of these services, like IFT, for example, is freeware. I would really prefer a alternative that was true open source that I could run on my own cloud. And no, not the service own cloud, but that I could toss up on the LAN. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, you could run it on own cloud or not. Like
there
if it
you
was
go.
Open, you could put it wherever you want. I do love IFT. In fact, hilariously, this announcement from Microsoft got me thinking about a recipe I'd been wanting to do on IFT for a while, and opened up IFT and started plugging around this morning for a little bit.
Good stuff.
Android World reports that Google is testing a travel assistant app called Trips with members of its Google Map Local Guides program who've reached level 2 or higher. According to 9to5 Google, the app can pull travel info from a user's Gmail messages, kind of like what Inbox does, and then store travel data offline. So it organizes the information about your trip, but also offers suggestions for food, local transit, sightseeing, etc.
Yeah, no, I love this. I've been conflicted on the whole thing for a while, but I've really come around to these kinds of services. I think Google now is nailing it. And I don't know. I guess I'm not that offended about a bot checking my receipt from the airline because the email confirmation from the airline came as plain text anyway, and so it's not like they're looking at my PGP stuff. So screw it.
Yeah, it's your security with your boarding pass is your ID essentially. So it doesn't really affect that. My thing is, this doesn't work perfectly, and I am so paranoid about my travel arrangements and missing flights that I use TripIt, and I probably won't switch to this because I'd be afraid this would screw up one time and then I'd miss a segment.
Oh, no. So with the machine learning and all of that, it's not going to understand that those flights to Vegas are actually for the rest of the crew going to DEF CON, and that I'm driving, and it's going to pop up and be like, oh, you're missing your flight, and I'm like, no, and then it's going to be like, I will automatically alert the airport and let them know that you're not going to be on that.
We have canceled the flight for everyone because you can't make it.
Angry calls from Shannon and Patrick. It's going to be fantastic.
Yeah. IBM announced a new set of blockchain services running on IBM Cloud and Docker with standards to meet regulatory compliance in various industries. We're not just talking finance here. We're talking about health. We're talking shipping. IBM has invested in startups and contributed to the Linux Foundation's Hyperledger project, but Friday's announcement is meant to appeal to large enterprises. Among IBM's partners on blockchain projects to start this off are the London and Japanese stock exchanges, the ABN AMRO Bank, and a Finnish shipping company.
This makes me so happy to see Big Blue just continuing to be Big Blue. I'm excited about this because they're laying the groundwork for next generation secure computing. Like, this is the kind of stuff where feel what you will about Bitcoin as a currency, but just the technology that we've been given and seeing it implemented like this is going to be the building blocks upon which a new web will be built with a much greater level of security and anonymity and things of that nature. So this is just good all around, and it's awesome to see them continuing to contribute to the open source community like that.
And it fits IBM's ability to survive, going all the way back to the punch card and typewriter days. They never stayed in one business. They kept a business until it started to become competitive and then took the next logical step. I'm oversimplifying here, but when typewriters became common, they moved to computers. And when computer mainframes became common, they moved to PCs. And when PCs became common, they moved to services. Now the cloud services are becoming common. Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, they're moving to blockchain at the point where the blockchain is now something that people definitely want to take advantage of.
Yeah, there's a good reason why your ThinkPad's a Lenovo.
Yeah. Saying that some software circumvents the design of Windows 10 Microsoft announced today that Cortana will now only work with the Edge browser on Windows 10. This changes the trend of the stories we've been talking about here. Cortana will no longer use your default browser. It will only launch Edge on Windows 10 anyway. And Cortana also will only deliver search results from Bing, even if a different search engine is chosen in Edge. So Bing, Edge, Cortana on Windows 10. That's it.
Yay! This, in the same way as the IBM story, makes me happy to see Microsoft continuing to be Microsoft. There was all this toying around with like open source, and we're going to
feel more comfortable now that Microsoft is acting a little more 1995.
Yes, I don't want them to be like. I want clear definitions here. I don't want them to muck the waters. Like, come on.
Microsoft's trying to say that it was a bad user experience and software wasn't really supposed to get around the Bing thing. And it sounds from reading the tea leaves, Search Engine Land has an excellent write-up of this, that Microsoft was upset that third-party browsers were allowing you to get around the Bing part of this. And so, yeah, they're acting like the old Microsoft and not saying we're fine on any platform. They're saying, no, we want to keep you in our conduit in this particular instance.
Yeah, it's really weird, too, because it's like, on the one hand, it's like, yes, we're going to do the thing that we always do, the evil stuff, and keep you in the walled garden. And then on the other hand, it's like, oh, and we're also going to make a service that integrates with, like, similar to IFT with all of these cloud services. So It's like, well, okay, well, which is it? So it's like, I guess when they want to play with everybody's beach ball, but they don't want to share their own.
Yeah, there's warring factions. That's what I think. Facebook released its latest global government requests report Thursday. Most of it is not going to be surprising to you. There's some interesting case studies in there if you want to read it. But government requests for Facebook user data rose 13% in the second half of 2015 for a total of 46,763 requests. And 60% of requests from U.S. authorities came with a non-disclosure order, meaning they couldn't tell the subject of the request that a request had been made for their information.
I'm just thankful that this is continuing to be a trend and a thing, and it's established as an expectation now from a consumer that you're like, well, of course, this service that I'm using is going to have a transparency report. That's just the norm, and that's so great. I doubt we're ever going to see the number of requests go down. It would be really surprising. And in thinking about that, it makes me realize, like, wow, it really kind of feels like all of these companies are constantly on the defensive side of this when it comes to the governments. And it's just like, wow,
Well, and this request for authorities with a non-disclosure order goes straight to the heart of the national security letter debate about whether you should be allowed to say or whether a gag order can always be issued, et cetera. So more numbers for that.
And how do they have to, respond to it if it's in a different jurisdiction where they don't have servers? And it's like, where are the borders? Like, how do you choose? Like, well, Sri Lanka wants this, so let's give it to Sri Lanka. So wait, we don't have servers in Sri Lanka. Yeah, but they're on the internet and they can access our servers, which are in Belgium. And it's like, it gets so confusing.
Australia's Productivity Commission spent 9 months studying intellectual property rights and now recommends the free import of books, free use of copyrighted material under new fair use rules, tighter restrictions on patents, and a legislated guarantee of the right to defeat geo-blockers and watch Netflix. The commission determined that, quote, the evidence and indeed logic suggests that the duration of copyright protection is far more than is needed. Few, if any, creators are motivated by the promise of financial returns long after death. End quote. Comments on the draft are due by June 3rd, with the final report coming in August. Darren, I've been saying for years, what we need is people to look at the evidence and find out whether copyright law is achieving its goal, and if it's not, what needs to be changed to do that. And that's exactly what the Productivity Commission seems to have done here.
It does, and it seems like it could have some major ramifications for the whole world. I mean, it's very exciting to see a major power like Australia, am I getting it right? Boop. Proposing a redefine of copyright. And it's interesting because there isn't really a global system, if you will, and I'm just wondering, like, hey, if this were to pass, then would I be able to take advantage of some of these proposed exemptions, for instance, if I were running a server in Australia? And I love this just as a, like, a thought debate of, like, what is, what is global law? Like we were just joking about before the show about like what if there was a terms of service for the internet?
Yeah.
Right. So. Yeah,
and I'm sure Peter Wells will have more to say about this on day 6. The Sunday edition of Daily Tech News Show, which he will be doing next week, I think. And by the way, we could get him to do it every week if we get that Patreon up just a couple more $100. But that's besides the point. I think what's really interesting about this is the reasoning for this has to do with the fact that Australia is a net consumer of intellectual property. Mm-hmm. And so it's in the interest of Australia to make things friendly for the consumer. In countries like the United States, where intellectual property is a net creation, the companies in charge of that are going to try to skew the debate to be more in their favor, and that's what's happened.
Yeah, and then you just have to ask, like, who's got the ultimate decision when it comes to that? It's like, who's in power here? And so, it's just this interesting balance of power between governments across the world and corporations and people creating content. And I don't have the solution. I just think it's really fascinating to see how the internet blurs those boundaries.
Yeah, and we'll see if the Productivity Commission's recommendations reach the final draft, whether they are actually enacted. This could cause problems for Australia's signing of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which requires them to adopt copyright laws that are similar to the United States. So there's a lot more to debate there.
Yeah, in fact, if you're in the Australia area, let me know all about it. Come to one of our meetups, May 28th in the Gold Coast and June 4th in Sydney. So hak5.org. That.
When Darren says let me know about it, he means walk up to him at one of those places and tell him.
Yeah. No, we're going to be at this pizza joint. We're just going to be hanging out at a couple of bars. Yeah, come down.
Rovi has agreed to purchase TiVo for $1.1 billion, about $10.70 a share, pending regulatory approval. The Wrap reports that combined company will keep the TiVo name, but keep the Rovi CEO, Tom Carson, as head. Rovi provides electronic guide data to cable companies and others. Both companies have great analytics operations. When I say great, I don't mean they're high quality. Maybe they are. I just mean that they're large. And they both make money licensing patents, which is probably the major funding driver behind this.
It's just bizarre to see this kind of thing. Like I actually, when TiVo popped up, I was like, wait, that's still a thing? And it's kind of like if you were to mention like Palm or something. It's just crazy to think that in 2000 TiVo was going for like $57 a share, and it hasn't really been doing much more than hovering around $10 for the last
I use
decade.
a TiVo every day. They still make an excellent over-the-air DVR.
And there is someone that still uses a Palm Pilot every day.
No, but this is different. If you're a cord cutter and you want over-the-air and you have good signals, it's probably the best DVR, especially now that they're selling a version that you don't have to pay for the electronic program guide. Problem with TiVo is they spent so many years thinking their future depended on the cable companies. And they're just now starting to move and cater to cord cutters a little bit. This is where they either become a bunch of patents for the new TiVo that becomes an electronic program guide analytics company, or whether they're able to continue to create great products for cord cutters.
Well, hopefully they'll pull an IBM and continue to innovate and change markets.
Yeah. Several U.S. government sources told Reuters Thursday that the U.S. FBI paid less than $1 million for the technique used to unlock the iPhone 5C in the San Bernardino case. If you remember last week, we told you about how Director James Comey, in a speech, said that the FBI paid more than he'd make in salary over the rest of the term of his job. It's around 7 years. And of course, everyone did the math, including Reuters, and found that meant roughly $1.3 million. So that number started getting bandied about. And I think these sources of the FBI, while they won't confirm it above board, are out there trying to say, no, it wasn't. It was less than $1 million.
Oh, you know, actually, as you bring that up, it just reminded me that I haven't been practicing the FBI director's advice. So let me just go ahead and remedy that situation. There we go. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure that I'm not
I think that's when you're not streaming on a podcast, you can cover your camera.
Okay.
You might want to, but when you want to be seen, then you pull that off.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, no. Dude, $1 million sounds reasonable for this kind of thing. I mean, that's
1.3 sounds reasonable. Honestly, I don't know why they're.
Well, I mean, it's okay. So if you've never looked into kind of like Exploit Hub or some of the other like marketplaces for these, then you might be shocked to find out like what this kind of stuff goes for. But we're talking about digital nukes here.
Yeah.
These are cyber arms, and
cheaper than the toilet seat.
They go for high dollars, and it's like a peek into the black budget almost.
Yeah.
Because I think people would be even more appalled and shocked and surprised if they saw what kind of money was going into development of things like Stuxnet. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't surprise me being part of the InfoSec community.
The Indian Space Research Organization launched the IRNSS-1G satellite Thursday, completing development of the NAVIC geopositioning system. NAVIC joins the GPS here in the U.S., Galileo in Europe, GLONASS in Russia, and Japan's QZSS systems. China's even got its own system, Beidou, coming in 2020. NAVIC will be fully tested in about a month and provide open source localized navigation for India, as well as encrypted service for the Indian military and government.
This is exciting, and hooray for India. Way to go. Like, redundancy.
Yeah.
2 is 1, 1 is none. Like, don't rely on ours. We're just going to turn it off whenever we want. Don't rely on the Russians either. Like, we need lots of these. That's fantastic.
Well, yeah, and you can conceivably use multiples, right? Especially because India's is only going to be regional, as many of these are. Therefore, you'll still want to use GPS for worldwide coverage, but you can check them off against each other. And because it's open source, you're allowed to use at least that version. They've got the 2 versions going, so nice. Finally, channel Jimquisition does not run ads on its YouTube channel and supports itself entirely through Patreon. However, occasionally, game companies put out content ID claims against their video because Jim uses game footage and sometimes music. And when you put a content ID on something, you can choose to monetize it. So then he would have to go around to his patrons and say, I'm not the one putting the ad on this. There's a content ID claim. I'm trying to fight it. They put an ad on it because they think they own it. By accident, he found out that if multiple companies put claims against his video and one of them opts to prevent monetization, which is also a content ID option, it would default to no monetization for the entire video, no matter who had put a claim on it. So he's now trying to make sure to trip content ID multiple times in every one of his videos in order to ensure that no monetization claim is made and the ads are prevented. And he has an excellent video talking about how this has now made him respect the fair use rules less because he wants to make sure that there are no ads running on his channel.
Right, and so there's no incentive for him to not just like throw everything in. Just so that he gets more content ID matches, and I think it's brilliant execution of a interesting flaw in the system, or I don't know if you would even call it a flaw, but anyway, you should check out the video. It's very eloquent. I think it's interesting, the nuclear option that is that, and I would love to see maybe some independent creators go ahead and form a company that creates content just so that you can make sure that you use said content in your video so that it always gets flagged.
Yeah. And he points out, he's like, I guess they can do a takedown on me, but then you have a takedown from one company and a monetization from another, so he's hoping that system works differently. As we mentioned yesterday, YouTube now saying they will no longer stop monetization if there is a claim. They will continue monetization if it's wanted and then hold that money in escrow. I don't know that that affects him because what he's looking for is conflicting things, but it definitely goes to show that the content ID system and the DMCA that it is powered by are both messed up.
And also, I have to hand it to YouTube for even still providing the option to put up videos without ads. We do that on the Hack5 YouTube channel for just about every show except for the ones that have contractual obligations with Discovery Digital, Hack5, and HackTip, but like you won't find those on Metasploit Minute and ThreatWire and stuff like that. And that's actually really cool considering the fact that they are providing us a free CDN. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Thanks to Reichel Franz, Loki Robert, Jane Namadan, Failed Access Memory, Goofball Jones, Greg N, PC Guy 8088, and more who submitted stories on our subreddit. Submit your stories and vote. Get in there and vote. The more voting, the better at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. And that is a look at the headlines. All right, so we mentioned at the top of the show Rule 41, and that may sound familiar because we talked about it last week regarding a case where a judge had said, well, you went to a magistrate judge. They don't have the right to get a search warrant for a machine that's not in their jurisdiction. But you could have gone to a district judge. Well, apparently what the Department of Justice said was, we don't want to have to go to district judges. Let's get the magistrate judges to be able to do this. So they went to the Supreme Court and ask for a change to the federal rule of criminal procedure. Now, this is the proper way. A lot of people are starting to attack, why is the Supreme Court doing this? This is how it's done. The Supreme Court is the arbiter over court procedures. And they are saying, look, we would like you to change the court procedure. And the way it works is the Supreme Court looks at it and they say, yes, we think this is fair. We will change the court procedure. And then they send that to Congress. So here's what they did, and here's what Congress can do to stop it if they want. The change now says, a magistrate judge with authority in any district where activities related to a crime may have occurred has authority to issue a warrant to use remote access to search electronic storage media and to seize or copy electronically stored information located within or outside the district. So the crime still has to be local to the jurisdiction, but if the server is somewhere else, the magistrate judge can now say, okay, I think this, yes, you have a legal right to go after that. This is necessary because the suspect may be in your jurisdiction, but they can store data on servers located anywhere in the world, or because of anonymity. You may not know whether the person is actually here, but you know the crime has been committed here. And that case in Massachusetts that I talked about was about exactly that. They had known that the operation was occurring in Virginia, so they got the search warrant in Virginia, but it turned out that the suspect was in Oklahoma and Massachusetts. So in both cases, the judge said, well, that's outside your jurisdiction. They're trying to plug that loophole. So the Supreme Court has approved the change to Rule 41, sent it to Congress. Congress has until December 1st to either modify the rule, reject the rule entirely, the change anyway, or defer. And if they take no action, it becomes the law. It becomes the new court procedure. A lot of people are against this law. Senator Wyden has called for Congress to reject the rules. He says a single warrant to access and search thousands or millions of computers at once, and the vast majority of the affected computers would belong to the victims, not the perpetrators, and it's a bad idea. Google and ACLU have said it's unreasonable search and seizure. Those against argue that government hacking does not have protective rules and transparency and could actually lead to the spread of malware. Darren, where do you stand on this?
Well, okay, so I feel like this is just another great example of the growing pains that we go through when we have these old school arbitrary borders, and then we have the internet. And there is no jurisdiction with this when we take a look at the U.S. federal district courts and the courts of appeals and the highest state courts and the U.S. Supreme Court. There is no like court of the internet. Where is the internet district in this regard? And do we want some sort of global court? Because again, like we were talking about copyright in Australia, it's like, you know, it blurs the lines and it's really interesting. But when I think about this as far as the actual government hacking side of it, the way that I fall on this is I feel like, and I've said this time and time again, but government hacking is a vulnerability. You know, when where the use of the law in that regard is a vulnerability, similar to the FBI and Apple case. And so, you know, and in this case, government hacking is a vulnerability against citizens' privacy and security. And so I feel like you don't defend yourself from a vulnerability with that same vulnerability system, and in this case, the U.S. courts. So it's not like we should be expecting the courts to fix this hole, to plug this in such a way to protect ourselves from it, because the internet is an equal playing field. And I believe ultimately that there is a technical solution to this, and that while it should be good that we would press for some sort of policy, some sort of law that makes sense to, shield those that may be a little less technical, we shouldn't rely on it, because whether it's this or the All Writs Act or something else completely different, it's again that delicate dance of vying for power between governments and their citizens, corporations and their users, and that's going to continue. So I say we push for a fair and honest government, but we need to protect ourselves from a corrupt one.
I think we probably, just like in the encryption debate, we probably need new legislation here, because the old legislation isn't sufficient, as you're pointing out, and you're fighting the vulnerability with the vulnerability, exactly. But in this particular case, for me, I think law enforcement has a perfectly reasonable complaint, which is what you said, like the internet doesn't have borders. So in the old ways, like, yeah, I only have jurisdiction to search the person who committed a crime in my district because they're probably in my district. The internet doesn't work that way. So they do need a way when there is a reasonable when there's a reasonable suspicion under a judge's order to get a warrant to search. How is it different if the server is in Oklahoma versus Virginia? If the server was in Virginia, they could have got the search warrant. Like, the rules are meant to protect against abuses. The rules are meant to have a judge look at this and say, well, now you guys are asking for something I don't think you really need here. You have to have a reasonable suspicion that this person has committed a crime to get the search warrant in the first place. The only difference is they're saying this computer might be somewhere else. Now, to the objections that say, yeah, but now you're talking about putting malware out there to hack into something, and maybe that malware gets out, or maybe you hack into a server and you find a lot of information from innocent people that had nothing to do with the person that you were after. And that's why I think we probably need to have new rules written, because there are also new possibilities to this case. But those possibilities also exist if the server happens to be in the same jurisdiction as the crime. We need them for those too. So it's not, to me, it's not about changing this rule that says you can now get a remote server. I think that's fine. I think for whether it's in the jurisdiction or outside the district, you need rules that make for some transparency and put some limits that say, okay, you can search this account or you can search this particular server, but you can't just go on a fishing expedition. That's why we have a warrant system in the first place, is to stop fishing expeditions.
Right. Well, I mean, to your point about those that are concerned about, you put some malware out there and it gets out, Stuxnet, America's first known cyber weapon, got out and was on PCs that it was not supposed to be on. So that is an inevitability with this kind of things. I completely agree with you that we do need a better law. But right now what we're saying is, oh, well, we can hack your server wherever it is because we said so. And this is a bigger debate than just a domestic one, because when we're talking about a law on the internet, we have to keep in mind all of the stakeholders, and this isn't just our network. So the conversation gets even deeper when you consider that these, I could be in Oklahoma and I could be accessing a server in Sri Lanka or wherever have you. So and
it gets even more thorny when you're talking about crossing international boundaries, which is, again, why you need to have some rules that take into account that the internet doesn't have a location. But my point is, there is a system that's meant to prevent abuse. That system is not going to work very well in the new world, which is why we need new rules. But that doesn't mean we should throw out the system. And right now, all you're saying is, well, security through obscurity. We won't let them search outside the district, so that'll reduce the number of times that they can hack. But they can hack all day long as long as the crime and the server are in the same district, and that doesn't make any sense to me.
No, it doesn't. And nor does trying to shoehorn the internet into old wiretapping laws or
exactly.
The All Writs Act, which that as an example of like old laws being applied to new technology. So
right. I
feel like we haven't cracked this, and it has been a long time coming, and it is part of the growing pains of the internet. And until we as a society, and I'd say society, I mean humanity on this rock, figure out how to coexist and work together to come up with something sane, we're not going to have justice that really works. So there is like two worlds happening. You've got your meat space and your cyberspace, and they aren't compatible in many ways.
Yeah, in fact, it's like we're trying to issue another patch on an old system, and the fixer in the chat room says, "What we need is a major update. Like we need to rev the version." Yeah,
I like your idea of having a acceptable use policy of the internet in terms of service, and I'm going to go ahead and propose that we use the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as a good starting place.
Plus Rule 34.
I mean, you got to keep the original rules. I mean, those are like, obviously. Come on, you don't throw out the First Amendment when you
right. Exactly. Yeah. It's like the Magna Carta.
Right, indeed. Well, but is that anyway? Yes.
All right, let's get to our pick of the day from Anas in Syria, who says, for a few days I've been using an app called SpeedAfari. It's a content blocker for iOS that is not blocked by Wired or Forbes, at least not at his writing. What makes it different from others is that it has 3 blocking aggressiveness levels. The first blocks ads and tracking scripts. The second blocks all scripts and fonts. And the third just gives you the HTML page or any other page format stripped out of everything. It also has a notification widget for switching it on or off. When he got it last, it was $1.99. And it turns out, Darren, that you know of one that is similar to this for Android.
Yeah, I highly recommend Little Web Browser 2. It's something that I was using on my most recent travels to Europe where I didn't have that much data on my SIM card, and it's fantastic because it is a web browser that does not load images or scripts. It does still load CSS, but still it makes sites so much smaller, and yeah, this is a really good choice for Android. Outside of that, just drop into the terminal and use links.
Yeah.
Get links on.
Like I used to do.
Go for that.
It's my browser of the 90s. I got a couple messages of the day. Scott Wilhelm wanted to send a note about the usefulness of the Apple CareKit apps. Remember, we announced yesterday that Apple CareKit now available for devs. They have 4 apps available. And Scott says, I have type 1 diabetes and have been using the OneDrop app to log how much insulin I'm using and how many carbs I'm eating, among other things. The app can even take readings from 2 of Dexcom's continuous glucose monitors, the G4 and the G5. Really has helped me lower my average glucose readings and has helped me analyze how what I eat and when I eat affects me. The information also helps drive how I treat my type 1 diabetes. The ease with which my glucose levels and how I treat them will be able to be sent to my endocrinologist makes it easier for them to offer help without an actual visit. And on a side note, to have had type 1 diabetes for 34 years and see that the technology used to treat it has gone from things like testing urine with results that were what your glucose level was 4 hours prior to now being able to look at your smartwatch and have it tell you your glucose level is nothing short of amazing to me. It's even moving forward to where insulin pumps work in conjunction with continuous glucose monitors to react in a manner a functioning pancreas would. I could have never imagined that would happen way back when.
It is really exciting, and I think that this tech is going to lead to not just like helping people with diabetes, but also anybody that doesn't, which is really exciting. Like I love the whole concept of like, hey, I would love my smartwatch to be like, Darren, eat a banana right now.
Yeah,
right now.
No, absolutely.
You need.
I wanted to do more than just individual diseases, but like overall nutrition as well.
Yeah.
Just be like, hey, your folic acid levels are low. You're not going to be absorbing iron well enough. You better eat some whole grains or something.
Like the surf, and then boom, tie that in with some, and then an Uber shows up, and then there's pasta,
that's exactly
and you're like, this is for you, Tom, and you're like, I didn't even know that I wanted curry, and you're like,
yeah, exactly.
Curry,
no,
Tom.
It's perfectly balanced for what your nutrition level needs right now. That's great. Yaru in Malaysia wrote in and said the Steam news about accepting Bitcoins has left him pretty excited. Around 2 years ago, the biggest bank in the country banned Steam transactions from their services. Now, one may think that the solution would be to just change banks, but it seems like a lot of trouble for one service, and that biggest bank is actually pretty good in many other ways, which is why they are popular. Buying Steam prepaid cards might sound like a solution too, but over here they're sold in shops with a premium that's 5 to 10% of the sticker value. So being able to transfer some money into Bitcoin and use that on Steam is a big benefit in Malaysia, it sounds like.
Yeah. I think everybody should just get a U.S. credit card.
The U.S. banks also agree with you, Darren.
Yes. And have a U.S. passport. Do away with the whole system. Never mind.
Finally, over on our subreddit, we definitely use the subreddit to find stories to add to the lineup and see what you guys are interested in. But there's also great discussions over there. Tyler does a great job of posting discussion links. And the Mitch NZ was responding to the story about Apple, Intel, and possibly others ditching analog headphone jacks. Said, look, if Apple did remove the headphone jack from the iPhone, it would possibly mean it would no longer comply with the Americans with Disabilities Act. Things like public ATMs with assisted listening systems are required by the ADA to have a standard 3.5 millimeter jack available. Receivers required for use with an assistive listening system shall include a 1/8 inch 3.5 millimeter standard mono jack. He quotes the regulation. It's like, I don't actually know if Apple has to comply, but if they do, or if they wanted to, then the headphone jack has to be here to stay, or at least an adapter. I'm no expert. I just heard someone else mentioning these ADA requirements for ATMs, and it got me thinking.
Dongle. A 1/8 inch mono jack to Bluetooth.
Yeah, well, what they'll do is they'll get rid of the headphone jack, but they'll supply an adapter that does a Y, because they were talking about this in the subreddit for thread too. Like, what if I want to listen to music and charge at the same time? You'll have a thing where you could plug in an analog jack and have the lightning port still available and do the plug-in then.
No one wants a squiddy cable. No one wants that.
Nobody wants it, no, but that's where we're going.
That's what we're going to be given, and we're going to like it too, because
Yeah.
it was Apple.
It does imply though. Okay, so the path here is that Bluetooth gets better. It's less wearing on your battery because
it's too
ideally,
optimistic of a view, Tom.
well,
Come
I
on.
know it's okay. Just hang with me for a second. Let's be optimist for a moment and say that Bluetooth eventually figures all that out, or maybe a new protocol comes along. We don't want wires. We only want wires because we think they're more reliable. If wireless got to the point where it was just as good as wires, we'd be fine with this. Then the ADA would have to adjust their rules.
Yeah, until some punk kid with a jammer comes by and no one's listening to the.
Can happen with a guy with scissors too.
Oh yeah, except the guy, you can pry the headphone cables out of my cold dead hands, Tom.
I hear you. I hear you, man. I hear you. Thank you for indulging my flight of fancy there. And thank you for being on the show. This was fun as always. And folks, there's more fun to be had at hack5.org. What do you got going on over there?
Speaking of hack5.org, we just did a major revamp of the website. Very exciting. I think it looks pretty good. Let us know if you find any broken links. But right there at the top, you'll find the information about Hack Across the Planet, which is a tour that Hack5 is going on over the next forever. And you have the opportunity to meet up with myself as well as Shannon and Sebastian and the rest of the crew. You can find details on the meetups. We're going to be having meetups in Tokyo, Japan on May 23rd, in the Gold Coast of Australia on May 28th, Sydney, Australia on June 4th. I know that there will be probably the Maldives here soon too. So it's going to be very exciting. We're just kind of going to go and see this planet that we have been podcasting and sending our packets to. So we're going to go ahead and use our passports and get out there. So come and join us, hak5.org.
That's fantastic. The planet welcomes you.
I'm looking forward to the Vegemite.
Me too, actually. Hey, Len Peralta, what have you been? Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Wow.
So, I told you before the show, before we went live, that I was going to do something a little bit different. And then as we were talking, you brought up something completely different that I thought I probably should do. So I sort of worked it into both here. Of course, Rule 41, the first thing I thought of being a Star Wars fan is Order 66. So the Emperor, of course, is ordering Order 66.
He's the Supreme Court Justice ordering.
And he's saying it's actually Rule 41, but yeah, it's in the same playbook. And then because we were talking about Rule 34, I just had to add this little guy here in the bottom. It says, just to be clear, we're not talking about Rule 34, right? So there's a little bit of emperor fetish going on there.
I am ordering this right now.
Is that a Dom Tom in the bottom left?
Is it a what?
A Dom Tom?
No, man, I didn't even know.
Which is not why I'm ordering it.
Because it's because there's no beard on this guy. So
yes, thank you. Thank you. Not all peach-colored people are the same.
I think I've overstayed my welcome with the awkward jeans drawing from earlier this year. So I learned my lesson.
No, I'm not even kidding you. Like, I'm buying this right now.
LensFromStore.com.
This is so good. Just the idea of the Supreme Court as the emperor issue, like just kind of like not really understanding, like Order 66, and then the FBI like, no, actually it's Rule 41, but yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
You got it.
Same playbook.
Yeah. This is amazing.
Thank you. This is available, as I mentioned, on my online store, lenperaltastore.com, or you can go to patreon.com/Len, and you can back me there, and you can get all of these as digital prints. It's fun.
I'm getting one right now. Should I use the Sword and Laser money to buy it, or the Daily Tech News money?
Everything. Use all the monies.
So many options when you're trying to buy something and host a show at the same time.
I like just subscribing so that I can get them digitally. I've heard that there's a place where you can do that, in fact.
Yes. Patreon.com/Len.
All right. Thank you, Len Peralta. That's amazing. And of course, big thanks to everybody who supports this show as well. We exist entirely on your support, and we crossed the $400 mark. So we're getting closer. We're getting closer to getting that day 6 thing. And then we can work on our monthly roundtable milestone. That's the next thing. So really, if you're already supporting the show, which I know lots of you are, just tell folks about us. Review us on iTunes. Tell a friend. Help them subscribe to a podcast. And if you're not supporting us yet, think about whether you get enough value out of the show and maybe give a little value back at patreon.com/DTNS. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can give us a call, 512-593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back on Monday with Veronica Belmont. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
Yay.
Kind of jealous of Strike It Rich. He's having a beer at a sports bar on US 41 right now. Thor.
Thor.
That's a deep cut.
Titles.
Titles.
Good ones.
Bring us your titles.
Top of the heap is Magna Carta porn.
Oh. That one.
There's also you call that a copyright law? This is a copyright
This
law.
is a copyright law.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
don't do that, X.
Content ID wars. Cortana only works on Edge. Nuclear content.
Execute.
An error
Someone did
occurred
it.
while processing my request. No.
Oh, yeah. I'm in the same problem. Are you trying to check out on Len Peralta?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's PayPal that's the issue.
I'm having the same problem.
Someone
Let me go to my
Good
insecure
stuff.
browser.
ripped off Len's drawing and had a title of Execute Rule 41.
Oh, there you go.
Someone had 41 problems.
Execute Rule 41, pretty good. Does that give away, though, the...
Oh, that's cute because we want to kill it. We want to execute it. I get it. Yes. A little double entendre there.
Is that really what that
But
means?
Len, does that give away your
No.
joke if we
No.
title it that? Let's do
No.
that. Execute Rule 41.
Is
I
it?
think that helps.
Where is the internet district? I like that one.
That's actually really good, too.
Sort of.
Could you imagine a global internet court that like recognizes all cultures' ideals?
Oh my gosh, what a mess.
Yeah. How did they do it in Star Trek? How? What?
They had
I think they had a big war that wiped most of the people out.
very
If First Contact is anything to go by.
I think it was the Third World War or was it the Eugenics War? One of those.
Oh no, for real? Like that's actually how they came up with just like one culture? Because
That was just the remnants of humanity, and it was
Alright.
Cochrane's warp drive that brought the Vulcans, and then the Vulcans proved to humans that they weren't.
Whoa.
Oh, you get muted.
Oh.
There was life out there. The Vulcans proved there was life outside.
So I think what we need are Vulcans or Mars microbes. I'll take either. Should we not just refer to whatever the first species we find as Vulcans, regardless?
Yes, I think we should. No,
So
they're not going to
execute
care.
Rule 41 title.
Execute Rule 41.
Execute Rule 41.
Yes, Commander. We're all New Zealanders.
I'm going to order some fried chicken right now.
Execute
Oh, nice.
order fried chicken.
I'm going to order some fried chicken, man, tonight.
Eat a banana.
There's a place called Chow Chow Kitchen, which is here locally, and they have something called the Winter Dinner. I'm going to do that.
It's a chicken dinner. Nice.
Yes, it's really
So yeah,
good.
I had to turn off Privacy Badger to complete my order.
Oh, interesting. Okay, maybe that's what I'll have to do.
There
Yeah, I
was
just
some-
use HTTP everywhere, and it just makes sure that it gets rid of HTTPS on any website. It's fantastic. Oh, wait, scratch that and reverse it.
I actually do that too. It's called Safari.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, actually, I just did the same. I talked to my sister. I was like, Karen, get it. Do your brother proud and get a Mac.
You really have a sister named Karen?
Karen Gale and Darren Dale.
I have a brother named Tim. So
Tim.
Meg, Tom, and Tim.
Yeah. You got to get the rhymers in.
It's the rhymer's
Yeah, what it
reason.
was my mom was expecting a boy, and my sister's older than me. So she's like, "Wait, you're not Darren Dale?" Like right after delivery, she's like, "You're
Karen
Karen
Kale.
Dale," right? So I don't know. Maybe I don't know what kind of
Her middle
painkillers
name's not
they
really Kale, is
used in
it?
the '80s, but they used painkillers, and Mom decided to go with the rhyming theme. So
Okay.
go figure.
Reminds me of the Anderson family in Greenville. All their children's middle name was Algren, after the dad.
Algren.
Yeah.
Algren Anderson.
Yep. Girls and boys, all middle name Algren. They're like, middle name, who cares? Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. I like the families that have like the 10 kids and they all start with J or something.
Right on.
Ah, Len, you should have done that.
Sorry, I didn't do it.
Next time.
Next time.
You should have had them all be LN something, so they'd be like Len Nora, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
initials.
Or I could be like what my mom did and take take people's names and put them all together and make these terrible names that don't mean anything. Like what was it? Motto Ken. That was like
Motto Ken.
I did that with my kids. I put them all together and I got the name Creekajou. And so
Oh right, I remember you talking about that.
yeah, Mr.
Yeah.
Creekajou.
So you can just refer to the bunch.
Creekajou.
Yeah.
Mr. Creekajou. That was a
Well,
character.
And
yeah.
Len, you like Roger have an alternate first name.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I didn't know Roger had an alternate first
I
name.
had an alternate first name that's actually my real name because it's on my birth certificate, and Roger isn't.
Yeah.
Oh.
Do you want to say it or no?
Yeah, it's Yahweh.
Yahweh. Like spelled
Mhm.
Y-A.
I know Yahweh. That's
Yeah, the
So
creator of
H?
everything. Mhm.
Yeah. Yahweh.
Yeah.
I know a guy. His name is Jor-El.
Really?
Yeah, they named him after Superman.
Oh, he was like intentionally named Jordan.
Yeah, named him after Superman's
great.
dad.
I just coincidentally have the same name as the Jewish or Hebrew name for God because God's real name cannot be spoken.
That's
Mm.
right.
Actually, Roger's real name can't be spoken either.
You can't say Roger.
Which
I've
is
just been going by this stage name for the last decade, but yeah, you know.
So
You know, it's
So
funny. My first name's really Thomas.
I saw that.
It's not that funny.
You know, I told you that story about Matt Winston, right? Over the weekend. What
Yeah, you
happened?
did. That's what made
So-
me think of that. actually.
Yeah, so Matt Winston, who is the son of Stan Winston being the man who created Harry and the Hendersons, the Alien, incredible special effects guy. He's passed on now, but his son is now kind of taking over the mantle. We had him on our show Creature Geek a while back, and on that show he outed my name because I'd never ever said it before. It's actually Demetrios. I'll say it on here. And when I met him over the weekend, he remembered that, which was crazy. Like I didn't even remember that. So that's pretty cool. That's a pretty neat little thing.
you didn't remember your original name?
I didn't remember I didn't remember him outing me on the podcast.
Yeah, I think Len remembered his real name. He was just didn't remember that Matt Winston had.
Yeah. Oh, there's a guy here. His buddy has named his kid Kal-El.
Mm.
Kal-El. Yeah, and Jor-El. I forget his last name. Jor-El.
Kara.
Most people don't know this, but Silverblade and Dr. Payne are actually their real name.
Those are
That's
their
what
given
Stoic
names.
Squirrel. Yeah, Stoic Squirrel too.
Mm-hmm. Captain Jack, same thing.
Well, I'm gonna go get my winter dinner.
Winner.
All right.
Wait,
I-
Congrats on the winning.
Yes, thank you. I ordered it while I was actually doing the show,
Nice.
so I gotta go pick it up. So
Excellent.
I will not be here next week. I'm in Dallas, so I will see you the week after.
We'll miss you, but have a good time in Dallas.
I
Sure.
will. Thank
All
you
right.
so much. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
And like that, I got my receipt from Knobby Knees Limited.
Oh, I meant to tell Len I have a special request. Anyway, whatever.
You're
Yeah.
supposed to write it in the little special.
No,
request
I know. I'll email
Darren.
him or something. Yeah. I'm like, it was right there. It was just there. Just there.
Execute Order 41. Yeah. So, are you going to be around? Are you going to go to the Night Attack thing next weekend?
Yes, I have it on my calendar. Wait,
Awesome.
it's next weekend. Ooh.
Or this weekend, I guess. Like not like a week from tomorrow.
Yes. Okay. I may. Oh, Mother's Day weekend.
Is it?
It is.
Oh.
Yes.
I was not born of. No, I'm just kidding. My mom lives in Illinois. I'm going to call her. It doesn't really matter where I am.
Yeah. No, or get her slippers. I may be in Vegas. We'll see.
Okay.
Because that would be for the number 4.
Nice.
Because
well, if you're in Vegas, I will understand.
Thank you. But if not, I will be there and it will be fun.
And I will like to meet anyone you bring with you.
Sounds good. Actually, that's a fantastic plan too.
Yeah.
Oh, I love the way the universe works out.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be fun. So if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, sorry if we're being vague, Mr. Brian Brushwood and Mr. Justin Robert Young are hosting a live Night Attack in San Francisco at 4:30 p.m. at Piano Fight in San Francisco on Saturday, May 7th. And I will be there on the show with Ali Spagnola, the awesome musician,
No way,
dancer.
you're going to be on with Ali.
Yeah, Ali's going to be
from
there.
DEF CON.
So it's going to be a blast. If you're in the San Francisco area, you got to come out and say hey. More details at nightattack.tv.
That's going to be an epic show.
It's going to be fun.
So looking forward to that. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if she's doing DEF CON again this year.
Oh, yeah. Did she do DEF CON?
Yeah. So she shares part of our booth with Dual Core sometimes.
Oh, of course. That makes sense. Yeah. Nice.
They get their nerdcore on.
Right?
Yeah. She's like all multifaceted and stuff. Didn't she have like a drinking game challenge thing too?
Oh yeah, that was her claim to fame a few years back. Was the 60 drinks and 60 songs.
Oh, you know what we're doing at DEF CON this year? For one of them, just one of the nights, we're going to do a special event called Hackers Against Hangovers. It'll be special wristbands, and we will have board games. We will not have booze, but we will have board games. So it's a BYOB.
So the idea is to not drink and therefore not get a hangover?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. A lot of the hacker cons can be a little bit of a binge drinking fest.
Well, wait, because I was all on board with that until you said BYO, and then I was like, oh.
Yeah, bring your own board game. BYOB.
Oh, but not bring your own beer.
Yeah.
Because that's
the whole hackers
the whole
against
point
hangovers.
is
like. Yeah, we're like, hey, what if we all get together?
I mean, the other way to do Hackers Against Hangover would be to have some kind of biological hack the next day to get rid of your hangover, but that's harder to accomplish, I suppose.
No, I like that too. That'll be the second day of the event.
Right, yeah, no, that's your follow-on.
Yeah. Maybe
it's like, here's a nutritional hack.
B vitamin vials, and then
right, exactly.
5, and then it'll be Hackers Against Hangovers. Actually,
on
either way, it's like, you want to come and drink? Here's a vial of
here's your beach
orange juice. Oh man, yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
Excellent. Well, we have published the show, and it was a good show.
It was.
So you should go watch it, people. Oh, except that if you're hearing me, you probably already listened or watched it.
No, I think Web 979 is downloading it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go get it, Web 971.
Yep.
We'll see you next week.
PK.